Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto got the first original Dōjutsu. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post what if on every single day for guys to enjoy. Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3. I'll be leaving the links down in the description, so go ahead, check them out and become a part of the Anime King family. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode? Begin the intro. So the last part we left off, Naruto was curious as he came face to face with Neji as he tried to understand him actively trying to kill Hinata. Neji lost his cool perhaps. It was Naruto's way of thinking and the way he phrased his words. Neji was angry, ridiculously so, as he told Naruto that he knew nothing. Therefore he revealed the mark on his head, telling Naruto that he was a caged bird, something that would be forever bind to a set of rules. Fate was already determined for him. However, his words were contradicted by Naruto's, as Naruto told him that he would prove to him that we are in charge of our own fate. The battle began as many believed that Naruto was done for. Neji was a prodigy, Naruto was not special. That is what they believed. It was over, they said. It was done, they said. However, that is when Naruto showed that they were all wrong. As him and Neji clashed against each other, Naruto was able to completely outplay the fighting style of the Hyuga. Majority of the people were rather shocked to what they were witnessing, as Naruto was clashing with Neji hand to hand. That was impossible, most of them thought. However, as they witnessed right in front of their eyes, Naruto had somehow learned the Hyuga fighting style, something that the Hyugas trained from birth in, that regulated with their system and their eyes. That is why it should be impossible for non-Hyugas, but they were all beyond shock and fathom to witness what Naruto was capable of, as he bested Neji again and again, proving him that he was wrong, that fate was up to them and no one else. Hayashi decided to have a conversation with his nephew after his defeat. As Naruto waited, he saw Gaara about to go against Sasuke, and Naruto was trying to copy the Kikigenkai, but something unusual happened. Naruto was in agonizing pain. He tried to relax, he tried to calm down, but whatever he did when he tried to copy Gaara, it affected him in a great, tragic way. Something was wrong, severely so. The invasion then began right after that, as Naruto tried to teleport, but something was wrong with him as he was coughing up blood. However, he had to go after Sasuke, which he did. Sakura also accompanied them as well. Shikamaru saw that something was wrong with Naruto, as he had to ask about that if he could fight. Naruto told him that he would be fine as they came across Gaara. Taking Gaara on wasn't that hard for Naruto in the beginning, but Naruto had lost a lot of his strength because of what he tried to take from Gaara. He had no idea what was happening to him internally, but he had to fight. Sasuke and Naruto were able to push him back as Naruto pushed Gaara over the edge. Gaara lost his cool in rage. He was angry, very so, as Naruto ended up using Gamabunta at his disposal, despite the agonizing pain that he was going through. Sasuke was dead exhausted as Sakura was unconscious. Distance away watching them was two high-value subordinates of Orochimaru, as they had a goal here. Naruto was able to stop Gaara rampage by waking him up as Gamabunta poofed back to his home. A conversation was had between the two which led Gaara down a different path. His siblings arrived and took him away before Naruto could bring him in. As Naruto turned, he collapsed downwards. That is when the woman showed herself. Her name was Guren. Sasuke was knocked out by Kimimaro as he picked up the Uchiha. Guren knocked Naruto down. Being exhausted and tired, there was nothing that he could do. As Sakura was slipping into an unconscious state after waking up, she saw them. She saw them being taken away. She was found later by Asuma, who was told by Shikamaru what happened after he came to save him. So with that, he brought her back and relayed the information to the higher-ups. The nine-tailed Jinchuriki and the last Uchiha was taken, and Orochimaru fled, and the third Hokage was now dead. Jiraiya was very important in this situation at the moment, as he turned down the seat of being the Hokage. When Naruto woke up in the mindscape, the Nine-Tails was in front of him. Finally, Naruto's body settled down. The seal was no longer on his stomach. Yes, the Death Reaper seal was gone because Naruto wasn't human anymore. His eyes, which allowed him to copy the genetic code of those who possess Kekkei Genkais. He actually copied the genetic code of the tail beast, changing Naruto into a tail beast. That is why he was going through such a strain. The difficulty of his cells breaking down, his body changing internally was putting a drastic strain on him, and there was nothing that he could do about it. But now he knew. Without the seal, the Nine-Tails was stuck with him. The beast was no longer inside of him. The both of them were simply inhabiting the same form. How in hell that was working, they had no idea. But there was still so many mysteries around Naruto's eyes. Naruto could tell that he was captured, able to sense all of the ninjas around him. He had to get out of here, as he opened his eyes in the real world. So yeah guys, basically let's let off you guys again. Switch across the place to yourself so to be in this new episode. Jiraiya was currently on his way in search of Tsunade, given his previous action to look for Naruto and try to find him and Sasuke. Well, he had no choice but to make a critical move for the safety of the Hidden Leaf village. He was stopped before he left the village by Shikaku Nara. Shikaku was a person that was very intelligent in majority of areas. That is why Jiraiya took his word seriously when he told him that they needed someone else. Majority of the power was currently residing within the council hand. They were making decisions for the village at the moment. However, they need a Hokage, and they needed one fast. From a long time now, Shikaku was a man that was against Danzo taking the title as Hokage, knowing just how much the man would try to corrupt and change. So he personally stopped Jiraiya from leaving, as he needed him to make a decision not just for two life, but for the entire Hidden Leaf village. Jiraiya had to make a wise choice in that moment. A gathered team consisting of the best trackers within the village were already sent out to try to find any sign and location of the boys. The information would be relayed back to him, given his vast spy network. So he decided to find Tsunade. The council gave him a month to do so, with Shikaku speaking to them. Shikaku could see the gaze from Danzo the moment he intervened before he could take the seat, before he could bring up anything that would cement himself as the new Hokage. So Jiraiya made his way off, now in search of Tsunade, hoping that the tracking team would find any clue that would lead to the rescue of the boys. While that was going on, there was two individuals having a conversation at the moment, as there was another there that was rather quiet. His name was Sasuke and he was quiet. A creature half black and half white, known as Zetsu, was speaking to his leader, the leader of the organization known as the Akatsuki. It was about the recent information that Zetsu was able to gather, having snuck within Konoha, and found out that the nine-tailed Jinchuriki was captured. Now this was bad, because it was in the hands of one of their organization enemies, Orochimaru. They had no idea what he intended to do with such a power. The leader turned his gaze, a pair of powerful eyes, towards Sasuke, as he told him to get his spy network into action immediately. Their lax in hunting down Orochimaru had led him to do something very stupid, and they need to find him now. While that was going on, Orochimaru was trying to locate Tsunade, having no idea just how much targets were heading for him at the moment. Meanwhile, within the most popularized base, the Sound Four was there, Kimimaro was there, Gurren was there, and several others. Orochimaru wanted to be extra cautionary and careful, despite sealing away the power of the Nine Tails from the boy access, despite sealing him into an unconscious state. Sasuke Uchiha was placed into a medical coma in order to keep him unconscious until Orochimaru returned with his hands renewed. Hopefully, that is. As Naruto lay on the bed, he was fully awake and yet his eyes were closed. Naruto had turned into something vastly different because of his eyes. His whole cellular makeup had made a drastic change. He was no longer the same in any possible way, and it shows internally, that is. His Nizugan was on its way to making Naruto one of the most strongest and most powerful individual to ever walk the face of this earth. At the moment, Naruto could sense them all. He could even sense Sasuke. Despite his eyes being closed, Naruto could map out every single thing. There wasn't an option to sneak around. Every single area was guarded, as he had no idea what to do. Because the both of them were in a sticky situation right now, the Nine Tails was cooperating with him for now, it seems. There is no choice. The Great Beast said, you will just have to go through all of them. Naruto weighed his options, thinking about all that he has accomplished so far, how much his strength had grown. As there was no option left, he couldn't afford for Orochimaru to return because he could sense Sanin was not here. But the others were powerful as well. However, Naruto thought about his own strength. There was a 50-50% chance that he wouldn't make it and that he would. However, if Orochimaru got back and got his hands on him, Naruto was sure that his eyes would be removed, and he would be used as a test subject to find out how exactly they work. He guessed he has no choice, as Naruto curled his finger around the chains that were currently residing on his arms. The seal that Orochimaru had placed on him had simply melted away. His body being unable to contain at the moment because his body was no longer the same. Naruto dig deep, as he had to do this perfectly. Naruto snapped the chain so fast. By the time the sound ninja outside heard, by the time he pulled the door, Naruto sent him through the wall. For a brief moment, Naruto was surprised by his newfound strength. Immediately, he took off down the hall. Two ninjas guard his path as Naruto blitzed past them, sending either of them in the opposite wall. He raced towards Sasuke's room, making his way as quickly as possible. As his senses activated precisely, it felt like they reached a certain area where he could feel them in the ear. Naruto weave and twist and duck, dodging the kunais that were sent his way. He plucked one of them before it could hit the wall and threw it, not even looking back as he brisked down the hallway. Seeing a steel door in front of him that led to another section of the base, Naruto ran straight forward as he blurred through hand sign insanely fast. A violent torrent of wind ripped the door from its hinges and tore the wall apart. Naruto burst through the smoke, taking down the 4 ninjas that resided inside. Another violent explosion went off as Naruto went up, jumping through the hole that he created, racing to where Sasuke was located. He moved along the wall, taking down the ninjas in his path. Damn it, Naruto cursed, as he could feel the stronger ones circling. They were heading straight for Sasuke's room. Naruto pushed off with even more speed, trying to best them there when he paused and jumped away. As a massive fist crashed through the wall and tried to punch him. Bursting through the wall was a more stoutier fellow, as he was larger than Naruto, possessing a patch of orange hair. He was Jirobo, a member of the Sound 4. So there you are, Jirobo said. The alarms were just sounded. I'm surprised that you reached this far. You're fast. Jirobo said, attacking Naruto. He tried to grab him, but Naruto weaved and ducked under his grab, causing Jirobo to smile. Just as I thought, you were fast. But let's see you keep up with this. He dropped his fist in the ground, causing a crack. Naruto flipped as he landed on the ceiling. Jirobo jumped up as well. They clashed their fists in mid-air. Jirobo pulled back as he felt the stinging sensation in his arm. He was surprised, because the kid did not look like he was trying that too hard. However, that was nothing but a distraction for Naruto. As Jirobo rushed back in, suddenly Naruto's body exploded. Jirobo was able to tank most of the blasts, as he came out a bit scratched and bruised, but it shows his enhanced strength. An exploding clone, he said, looking around. So where the hell is the real one? Naruto hid within the shadows, using a technique that he took not so long ago. He was literally hiding within the shadows, as he stood there waiting. However, the next moment, he had to jump away. He cursed as a girl appeared with a flute in her hand. You might be able to trick our eyes, but you can't trick my ears. Why don't you give up shit for brains? She said to him. She was the other member, Tayuya, as she looked towards Naruto. Quite a mouth you have there, said Naruto, trying to buy some time as he looked for a way to get out of here. There's nowhere to run, another voice spoke up, as someone appeared from the other side. His skin was more paler than theirs. He was the leader of this other team. His name was Seikon. Naruto weaved and grabbed the arrow that was aimed to pierce his leg. Whoa, his reaction time is insane, Kidomaru, a 6-armed boy, said as they had Naruto surrounded. No, Naruto cursed under his breath as he could feel Sasuke being moved. Naruto blurred through hand sign as they all rushed in, but he bested them in speed. He slammed his hand down. Earth release. Colosseum rumble, he said. The ground rumbled first before massive spikes jetted out. A collaboration of 2 techniques without saying the last one, as Naruto was able to perfect them by now. The Sound 4 though was something else as they got away. Naruto aimed for the ceiling and broke through, appearing in what seemed to be a arena. However, he saw the face, the blue-haired woman. I told you, we didn't have to go after him. It seems he came right to us. She spoke to another with white hair. He said nothing. It was Gorin and Kimimaru. The remaining Sound 4 came up to that level. There's nowhere to run, Gorin said. You were heading to find the Uchiha. I take it you're a sensor, she said. However, you must have sensed that he's been moved already to another base. And you can't defeat us all. So do yourself a favor and give up. Orochimaru-sama has a vested interest in you. I wouldn't want to stop his progress by killing you, she said, giving Naruto the best option to not be taken out. Kurama shouted at him. What are you waiting for? He said. Naruto sped straight towards her. Surprisingly, she moved in. When he threw his fist and it slammed against her, Naruto was shocked as she did not even move. Confusion marred Naruto's face as she looked at him with a smile. She grabbed his hand and delivered a brutal kick before sending him towards the ceiling. The Sound Force descended upon Naruto. On the way down, Naruto got the crap kicked out of him before Drobo grabbed him and slammed him into the ground. Gorin looked down towards where he punched her as there was a crack on the area. Her entire body was covered in a dense, extremely dense crystal. Mere punches should not be able to affect her, unless we're talking about ninjutsu or super enhanced fists. However, looking down, her crystal was cracked. She started to cause it to recover, but still, she was impressed. For someone so young, he possessed an immaculate amount of strength. However, as Drobo held Naruto down, smiling, believing that it was over, his hand was being lifted. What the hell? Hey, fat ass, what with your... Tayuya was cut off as Naruto elbowed Drobo in the stomach. Naruto clasped his hands together about to deliver a death tumble to his skull. However, he had to grab both of the arrows that were shot towards him as they weren't aiming to kill. The next moment though, he heard the strange melody. However, it didn't affect him as much as she thought. Confused as she was, she decided to go with something else as she summoned her Doki with the massive weapon. Naruto turned and jumped, only for another one to slam a fist in his face. As Tayuya played her flute, Naruto flipped as he got back to his feet, surprising them by his durability. Gorin sped through hand sign, creating a crystal dragon that was launched towards him. As Naruto weaved out of the way and ran towards the wall, only for it to send him right into the problematic Drobo, who was back on his feet. Naruto tried to flip over him, but once again he had to dodge the arrow, which caused him to slip up as Drobo grabbed his feet and bashed him into the wall and threw him down to the ground. Seikon then delivered a brutal punch right to his kidney, another to his stomach, and one to his chin. He grabbed both of Naruto's arms and pinned him and stepped down on his back, trying to hold him there. Seikon was surprised. What the hell? As Naruto was overpowering him. Get over here, he shouted, as Drobo held Naruto down. Enough, Kimimaro said. We are not meant to kill him. It is not what Orochimaru-sama desire. Yeah, we know, Seikon said. But we can hurt him a bit. He's been a little pest. I said enough, Kimimaro shouted. Immediately they climbed up, knowing not to question what he had to say. What the hell are you doing? The voice came within Naruto's mind. I can't beat them, said Naruto. They're too strong, and their numbers are cut the crap. The Nine-Tail said, stop thinking of yourself as what you were before. Haven't you noticed just as yet? You're not even human anymore. You've altered your genetics so much. I doubt that you can even be called human. Realize that your limitations are much, much greater than what they once were. and stop messing around. I will not be subjugated to be someone's lapdog. Now, get the hell up and get the hell out of here. Kurama roared at Naruto. In that moment, Naruto's eyes were closed as he searched for what the Nine Tails was speaking about. And that is when he felt it. Kurama was right. Naruto was purposely limiting himself by not realizing just how much he had truly grown. You see, his Nizugan did not copy the sand technique from Shikaku. Normally, that was what it would have done, because Naruto wanted to copy Gaara's technique, but instead, he mapped out Shikaku's body completely. That is why Naruto had so much pain going into the battle, because his insides were changing. The problem was, Naruto already had a tail beast. The seal on his stomach vanished because he was no longer a suitable host to hold a tail beast, because his body was not recognized as a human vessel anymore. He had changed. Naruto Nizugan had altered his genetic structure so much, it was unrecognizable. The tail beast chakra from the Shikaku had merged with Kurama's chakra. It had merged with his own and merged with the altered generation DNA that he took from Orochimaru, and it created something new. When Naruto opened back his eyes, instead of blue or red, or the Nizugan, they were purple, with a black diamond in the center. Seikon and Jobo that was holding Naruto down suddenly felt something. They both looked down as Naruto started to move. The next moment, Naruto threw them off of him and released a monstrous roar. A massive swell of purple energy exploded out of him like a fountain. It sent everyone towards the walls. Kimimaro quickly flipping and landing. Same for Gurren as well. They both blinked in shock as the others were in awe. What the hell is this? Gurren said, as she felt her hands trembling slightly, as Naruto looked towards the heaven and released an animalistic growl that shook the entire base. Those that weren't on their level were terrified, truly and utterly terrified. A distance away, 3 ninjas were fleeing, one of them carrying the young Sasuke away. They paused. What the hell is that? The one that was holding Sasuke said. Back towards the base, as Naruto was pulsating with the purple energy, he looked at his hands and legs. He was shocked, as Naruto realized that his body no longer had the same limitation that it once had. Therefore, a smile graced Naruto's features as he dig into something much more powerful as well. Naruto opened the first gate, then the second, then the third. His skin started to turn a reddish color. Then the fourth, veins start to pulsate all over Naruto's body. And when he opened the fifth, the aura seemed to match with the purple energy, making it at least 3 times larger. The ground underneath him fractured from the mere pressure that was descending from him. Naruto felt his hand pulsate and he felt his heart beating at least 3 times faster. His sight was immaculate. He could hear everything. He could hear their heartbeat. As the energy swirled around him and gathered in his lungs, his feet, everything. When Naruto took off, all that was seen was a blur. His first target was Jobo. Appearing in front of the man, Jobo crossed his arm, but when Naruto's fist dropped into his arm, bone and blood could be seen as Naruto punched through his guard, turning his arm into a mess of bloody welsh. Jobo could not get to scream in pain as Naruto did the same by grabbing his face. Naruto brought his head down with such force. Jobo's head burst under his hand, leaving a headless corpse. Immediately, the Dokis descend upon Naruto, but Naruto twists himself literally. He twists. It seems like his spine was rubber right now. It was the alteration, the combination of the snake and the tail beast's energy. He twists like he was a wind-up toy before. His body stretched. Naruto sent all three of them away. He then moved off with his stretch force, stepping into Teiwaya's chest. Her lungs, everything blood gathered in her throat as Naruto crushed her ribs and damaged her insides. His blows were at least 10 times heavier than before. Several arrows were shot towards him. Naruto weaved as two of them stabbed him though. The next moment he flew through his own mouth and punched a hole directly through Kidomaru's chest, punching his heart out on the back, leaving his corpse that dried up and simply turned into dust. It was Orochimaru's body swapping technique, which allows him to cheat death. However, the power seemed to have made it even stronger and faster. Gouren sped through Hansign and created a massive dome to conceal Naruto. Seikon exiting it. She sent her chakra in it. All of this happened in less than 1 minute. As everyone was shocked, Seikon stood there as the last member of the Sound 4, unable to believe what he just witnessed. This couldn't be possible, right? Placing her hand on the ground, she made her crystal even more powerful. Suddenly, small particles of crystal started to drop on Naruto inside the dome. Naruto looked at himself. The next moment, she activated them as Naruto's body was speared from all angles. Kimimaro wanted to shout at her for killing the boy, but the sheer magnitude and power that was radiating off that beast, Kimimaro did not know if a battle between them would end in his favor, and he was almost certain in most of his victories. Gouren knew that she had to do something or they would be torn limb from limb. Whatever happened to him? Perhaps this was the power of the Nine Tails, having never seen it before. However, given how people spoke of that beast, she wasn't ill-informed. As Naruto's body was speared so much by her crystals, it was over. However, the next moment, he pushed his arms out and roared, the crystals shooting out of him. His body had so much holes in it, and yet, despite liver and some of his major organs that were supposed to be destroyed, he recovered. Gouren stepped back. Kimimaro stepped back. Seikon stepped back. The sheer power that started to radiate started to increase. Naruto dashed forward and slammed his fist into the crystal. The first punch obliterated it. Gouren jumped away immediately, causing a cave-in on the entire place. Her crystal work was deadly. As the three of them was outside, Naruto burst out of the rubble, suspended in mid-air, his arms stretched wide, before he zapped away like he teleported. Immediately, Ukon came from his brother's back and blocked the punch. His hands felt like they were going to be ripped off for merely holding back one of these blows. Kimimaro descended upon Naruto with a bone blade to end Naruto's life when suddenly, a purple chain from Naruto's spine blocked the bone. Surprising Kimimaro, Naruto grabbed Ukon and pulled him away as he jumped. Seikon spun, but Naruto grabbed his arm. The smile on his face as he grabbed both of them and started to pull. Both brothers started to scream, wanting to remove themselves naturally but unable to as Naruto tore them apart in a most gruesome and bloody way, leaving the two writhing, agonizing corpses on the ground. Naruto looked up at Gouren and Kimimaro, baffled by the brutality and sheer power that he was now releasing. Naruto looked at his hand. His bloodlust has gotten so great that he could barely control most of his actions, just wanted to tear them apart. However, he was allowing himself to sink deeper into that bloodlust. It was the only way that he was going to survive this. There was absolutely no other way. As he started to dig deeper and deeper, feeling that power swell inside of him, within the mindscape, Kurama gazed upwards as he saw the vast purple sky until he blinked in shock. Yes, the Ninetales was surprised. Yes, the Ninetales was shocked. Because what he was looking at was not a sky. No, it was not. It was the reservoir of chakra that the boy has accumulated because of his genetical upgrade. Kurama looked towards the source as he saw his own chakra tied in it along as well, making it more self-sustainable, making it more stronger. As that grew, he became weaker. However, his chakra was able to fully replenish itself constantly. As he realized that reservoir was attempting shouldn't be the word because it has done it. Kurama was surprised, having never witnessed something like this before, a human turning into a literal tail beast. Not this way. He remembered in the past when two brothers tried to, take him on. He devoured them, and they feast on his chakra, gaining a semblance of his power. But this was different. His body was completely changed, no longer behaving like a normal human property, which led to a very important question. What did that mean for him, Kurama wondered, regarding with this situation inside. On the outside world, when Naruto went through hand sign and took in a deep breath, he released flames, but instead of orange or anything close to red, it was purple flames. The amount of chakra that he was using was at least 10 jonins combined. The flame was hell. That was the only way to describe it. It scorched the land. The flame ran down into the base because of the opening. Those who were on the inside tried to run for their life, but they were met with a hateful, agonizing end. Guren and Kimimaro was currently behind one of Guren's crystals. The both of them were sweating as Guren was pumping out so much chakra to repair her crystal while the flame was scorching against it, actually melting her crystal. That wasn't supposed to be possible. The boy was now defying natural law, making the impossible possible. The flame finally started to die down, but Naruto already jumped. The purple chains descended from him, 10 in total. The two immediately got and moved away, dodging and twisting. Kimimaro immediately went to stage 2, realizing that one or none would not be helpful. Guren created another dome, but this was just a distraction. Both her and Kimimaro had to do the most drastic that they could in order to survive, which meant leveling everything. They both sped through hand sign as they gathered their chakra, calling out their most devastating and dangerous technique. When Naruto burst out of the dome, his eyes went wide. Kimimaro erupted. He raised a bone field that spanned for a couple of miles. However, that wasn't all. Guren rained particles of crystal from the sky. Each particle, when touching one of those bones, created so much spikes that were as large as a circumference of the same bone. It was a feel of death. Those who survived Those who weren't able to get away from the fire were lucky, because those who survived met a worse pain as they swallowed some of the particles that impaled them from the inside out, causing a slow, agonizing death. Gurren was exhausted. Having densed herself with her own crystal, which take a lot of chakra, having protected the both of them with that crystal dome, she had to use so much, and now this. She got back to her feet though, still have enough chakra to fight. After all, she wasn't a pushover. But still, she used quite a lot. And that was Kimimara's most powerful technique, so it took a big chunk out of his reservoir of chakra as well. The both of them knowing that this was the only thing they had at their disposal to get him down, as they had to go to drastic levels. This boy, no, this monster, would have killed the both of them, and they could feel that from the power that he was letting off. He took out every single member of the Sound 4 like that, like they were nothing, Orochimaru elite guards. Put him above Jonin level with the power that he was currently using at his disposal, making their way to ensure that he was done for. The both of them being too loyal to allow this monster to survive, who was seeking their master's death. When they arrived, Naruto was on his back. One of the bones had ruptured through his stomach. The crystals had overtaken his body so much you could barely see flesh. He was done, there was no doubt about that. However, the next moment they felt chakra gathering. The both of them looked around confused. What the hell is that, they said, feeling that same dark, wicked energy. It's him, Gurren said. Kimimaro was confused, he's dead. Not understanding what the Naruto flew out of his own mouth, as he was now high in the sky. The gates were no longer affecting him. Every single ounce of chakra that once surrounded him was gone, as Naruto's mouth was swell, his stomach as well, like he had just eaten a large buffet. 5 chains erupted from his back, each of them glowing with a different nature element of the techniques that he had stolen. Each of them gathering together, their power combining. Purple smoke came from Naruto's mouth. The two ninjas started to run immediately, knowing what was going to come. But it was too late, as Naruto opened his mouth and released a power unlike anything ever seen before. This wasn't a tail beast bomb, perhaps in some sense, but modified to a level of a beam. It scorched the earth like death from the heavens itself. It raced across the field along with the energy coming from the chains. When they came together and combined, it was like a supernova combining and going off. Both Gurren and Kimimaro turned as their eyes went wide. They were swallowed in the radius. Naruto might have used a bit too much power, as he was also caught up in his own blast. But not just him. Half of the dense forest. The entire place shook vigorously. Those who were not near the area were greatly affected as well. It was truly, utterly problematic. When the smoke and dust cleared, the two were nowhere to be seen, being eviscerated in the blast. Collapsing down to the ground, Naruto, no longer possessing a right arm. He overdid it. Needing to eliminate them quickly, he overdid it, using too much power. However, as he looked at his stump, he watched his tissues and bones start to come back. His arm regrowing under a minute, 45 seconds top. Naruto moved his finger. Amazing, he said. At his stellar regeneration, he tried to move off, but he felt a spasm run through him. causing him to collapse face first on the ground. His body, despite fully going through the transition, just like a tail beast of a Jinchuriki, utilizing the power, his body had yet to break from the connection that it still had with Kurama, it seems. And that was coming to an end. The chakra linking Kurama to the chakra of reservoir within Naruto severed in that moment, giving Naruto's body an entire fusion of energy that it never possessed before. As Naruto jumped to his feet. Meanwhile, that was going on at the Hidden Leaf Village. Sakura, she had a few bandages on her, as she hadn't fully healed up yet after the battle. Despite it being a couple of days, she received more wounds than normal. As she was checked by the doctors though, but she was fine, despite the head hit that she got. Sakura was worried. Both Naruto and Sasuke were taken, as the memories had returned back to her, and she immediately told Asuma, who was nearby. However, he returned without them. Each day that passed, the more she got worried that she was never going to see either of them again, having no idea what the enemy planned to do with them, to use them to... She didn't want to think about the worst option, but it was an option. Kakashi told her that some of the best were on the tracking team to find them, so she shouldn't worry that much. But she knew that he was only trying to divert her worries, as she had to allow herself to not worry so much because it was ripping her apart. To know that she was the only one left from Team 7, she feared to hear that. She feared it the most. She didn't want to lose them. As much as Team 7 really did not gel in the beginning, they started to become a team going down. Naruto was always annoying within the academy, but since becoming a ninja, he was not that person anymore. Calm, collected, kind, and he hadn't asked her out on a date since becoming that person. Something that she found herself actually missing. Strangely enough, because Sasuke didn't want to go out with her. She always knew that Naruto would be there, but now she was worried about her teammates and she missed the both of them. She wasn't the only one. Kakashi wanted to join the group, but his efforts were best needed here, given what happened during the invasion. He knew that he had to be loyal to his village despite both of his genins being out there. As some of the best, he did not like the Sakura, the best were on the hunt, and Jiraiya would get to the hunt as well, so he should have more faith. However, knowing what Naruto was, and knowing that Orochimaru craved power, both Naruto and Sasuke possessed eyes that were truly immaculate. Powers that people would kill for, and Naruto eyes being the first of its generation, being the first original Dōjutsu, not a Sharingan, not a Byakugan, not even one of the legendary ones in the past. It was the first that no one has ever seen or even heard about. Orochimaru would want to take them. He feared Naruto's life was in jeopardy more than Sasuke. Not to mention what happened in the forest. The Sannin must have been humiliated when he was defeated, therefore he would try to hurt Naruto. Kakashi quelled his anger by taking it out on the training post, having nothing else to take it out on, as he was worried, terrified that Naruto was already gone, and given the power that was sealed inside of him, if Orochimaru got his hands on that, there was no doubt in his mind that he would use it against the Hidden Leaf, and the problems that they would have will be much, much greater than before. That is where the real problems will come from. Time skip. Sasuke finally woke up, having no longer been injected by the constant sedatives that were going through his system, that were in his active, induced sleep. When Sasuke opened his eyes, everything hurt. Not pain, but his mind, everything just felt so confusing and foggy. Where the hell am I? Sasuke said, clearing his throat. I have no idea. Sasuke blinked as he opened his eyes. Naruto, he said. In the flesh. As Naruto was seated right there. His left sleeve was not on. His shirt was torn up badly, like extremely so. Even his pants were torn up as well. What the hell is going on? Sasuke said. As Naruto told him that they were captured. Well, he defeated all of Orochimaru's lackeys. Then he chased after him. As Naruto's sensory ability had gotten so powerful that he tracked him by his residue chakra that he was leaving off. It was a basic imprint of every single being that possessed one. And everyone had it. Not to mention they hadn't gotten far and it hadn't been a long time, so he was able to find him. He defeated the three that was holding him hostage and now he had no idea where they were. Sasuke was starving. That was the first thing. He was hungry. As Naruto handed him something, fruits. Luckily they were in a forest. As the both of them stepped towards the entrance, rain was pouring down hard. So they were in a cave where Naruto had dragged him along. As the Uchiha was trying to understand everything, trying to wrap his mind around everything, wanting to know how much ninjas did Naruto fight, to understand just how much stronger did Naruto become. Orochimaru did not get the chance to brand Sasuke first. It was due to Naruto's intervention within the forest. And then now, Naruto freeing the both of them. The Sannin was going to be royally pissed off. Sasuke didn't want to sleep anymore. It was really late in the night as he watched the sun rise. And Naruto seemed to be perfectly fine. The rain came to a stop. Having nothing else to put on, they simply made their way in the forest. As they were walking within the direction towards Konoha, despite not knowing where the village was or where they were simply heading in that way. If Naruto was right, Konoha would line up perfectly that way. But he had no idea where they were, so it might take a long walk. Sasuke asked a lot of questions about what happened while he was unconscious, and the foes that Naruto did face, as he was trying to judge and understand Naruto's strength. After all, Naruto went up against the one-tailed Jinchuriki, while Sasuke did fight as well. Naruto was a bigger part of the fight than him, so he would like to know. Finally, they came across a town, as we find Naruto wearing a coat. Having taken it, he stole it to be quite exact. He really needed something to wear. As they spoke to people to get general information on where they were, and they were much further away from Konoha than he expected, but it shouldn't take them that long to get back. Now having an idea on where they were, they simply headed in the right direction. As they made their way, Naruto was thankful that the tail beast was being cooperative, as Naruto realized that while he did eat what they picked from the trees and everything, he didn't feel hungry. He supposed it was due to his genetical alteration. He still couldn't believe that his eyes were able to alter his genetics on such a grand scale. Copying Orochimaru's genetics and altering his body to suit that form was one thing, but copying the entire tail beast, that was on a completely different level than anyone would have ever expected. Finally making their way close towards the land of fire, as they came across a few towns. Stopping by, there was a festival keeping in one of them. It was nighttime as they decided to set up camp in the woods. Luckily, a stream was nearby. Strangely enough, this provided a good bonding session for the boys. Despite working together as a team, proving that Team 7 was solid. Their friendship mostly consists on the both of them testing each other's abilities, as they were actually talking as friends. Sasuke grateful that Naruto saved his life, not knowing what would have become of him. However, things took a turn when Naruto spoke about Itachi, asking Sasuke if vengeance was the right thing for him. Sasuke lost his cool when Naruto said that. However, he misunderstood Naruto's words. Naruto did not tell him to stop what he was doing. He just wanted to know what he will do after it. The Uchiha found himself thinking, as he hadn't really thought a lot about that. Yes, he always said that he was going to rebuild his clan, but he never took true stocks or details into that. Sasuke was curious about something. Was Naruto always this way? He remembered Naruto within the academy. He was a goofus, a nerd, an idiot. To be honest, the moment I awakened my eyes, my whole personality changed, and I was different, said Naruto. I suppose it had something to do with my appearance. Sasuke looked at him confused, thinking that Naruto never knew his parents, thinking that he was just one of those normal orphans. My father was a fourth Hokage. I'm not sure what my mother's name was. Naruto said it so casually that Sasuke had to blink in shock. What? I found out not too long ago, said Naruto. It felt like I was waking up from a dream. They sealed their chakra within me on the night that they died, as Naruto did not say anything regarding the tail beast. However, he confidently speak about his father like that in front of Sasuke like it was nothing. Naruto remembered the images in his mind, the both of them saying, I love you, my son. It was the same photo of the fourth Hokage, blue-eyed blonde hair man. He wasn't sure who his mother was, beautiful red hair and blue eyes as well. At least he now knew that he was always loved. It came as a shocker to him, but suppose Naruto did not feel that same way that he once would have felt. When he awakened his eyes, he could tell that his personality became different. He wasn't sure what happened, but he felt more open, more calm, more relaxed. Like the world was completely different. And he felt like his parents had something to do with that. And now that he knew that they loved him, he felt genuine happy. Yes. His question to understand Neji on, why did he do that to Hinata? Naruto supposed he would never truly understand the emotion that one would feel that would drive them to do something like that. However, as Naruto made Sasuke a promise that he was his comrade, and after everything that has been taken from him, he would help him in any way that he could. Sasuke found himself surprised. Strangely enough, he thought of Naruto as a friend then more than anyone else, because Naruto did not bother him mostly, and they simply did what they did, fight each other. He believed that was what friendship truly was. However, this kind of understanding was something that he never had before, as he found himself climbing up by saying, However, it was perhaps this day that they became truly friends. They still had some distance to head to Konoha, as Naruto supposed that his luck was turning. They arrived at a town known as Tsunadegai. As Naruto arrived there, he wondered if they could get some money, well, not say illegal because it was gambling, but still, Sasuke found money. As Naruto looked at him, You found this, he said to the Uchiha. Yeah, I found it, Sasuke said, not telling Naruto exactly where he got it, but it was a small amount, not the desired amount that Sasuke would need to get something proper to eat. He was tired of fish and fruits. Well, let's try our luck, said Naruto, as the both of them transformed, so they would look much older, entering in the casino there. Naruto searched for one of the machines and, believing that this was the right one, simply placed the money inside. Hey, wait, Sasuke said. Do you even know how this works? It's simple. We just put the money here and pull this lever, said Naruto. As he pulled the lever, Sasuke watched as a cherry came up. And then another. As Naruto and him watched. And then another. The machine started to make all sorts of noises. Someone came to a stop. What the hell? I was just playing that. A very angry woman said. She was blonde, a diamond in her forehead, as she was accompanied by a dark-haired woman with a pig. She was just playing that machine and it took almost all of her money away. And now this guy came and won from it. How in the hell did you do that, she said, questioning her sanity. How long she has been playing that damn machine. Was there some kind of trick to it or something? She was pissed. I guess I'm just lucky. The woman was pissed off as she started to curse her apprentice, apologizing to the two men. Well, that was strange, Sasuke said. It seems like she's apologizing a lot, said Naruto, seeing how easily she just said so, despite missing majority of what she said in the beginning, seeing that the blonde-haired woman had raced over towards them when she heard they won. I guess you really are lucky, Sasuke said. I guess I am, said Naruto. Let's go and get all of this, shall we? As they returned the coins for some cash. The both of them were rather surprised, as the owner did not seem that pleased given that they just came in and won so easily. You know, maybe we should play again. I mean, what could be the harm, said Naruto. Sasuke looked at the machines in the place. Fine, he said, grabbing some of the money away. My turn then. Time skip. Naruto was laughing. Sasuke was glaring at him. It's not funny. All the money that Sasuke had taken, he lost all of it. Naruto, on the other hand, he won 4 more times and lost twice. So he was able to cover Sasuke's losses pretty easily. Naruto saw the woman as they returned back to their normal form. They did not need it anymore after all. Naruto did not realize how late it was originally. She was heading to a bar. Hey, where are you going? Brightening someone's day, said Naruto. He figured that he's stained his hands so much with blood already today, he might as well do some good. As he made his way to give the woman some of the money that lost, remembering her, he followed after her in the bar. However, at that exact moment, someone jumped down from the roof. As the white-haired Sannin made his way, he entered said bar, having gotten some information from one of his spies. This was the 3rd bar in this town, and the last. Meanwhile, before Tsunade could order her a drink, she looked up. Who the hell are you, she said. It's me. Oh. Naruto transformed back in his older self, before turning back to normal. Huh? You were just a brat? She banged her head on the table. Is my luck so bad, she said. I couldn't even win more than a brat. Naruto was looking at the woman. There was something so familiar about her, but he just couldn't place it, having not focused in the earlier time about her. However, Sasuke recognized the woman as a past lecturer and a photo from class. Having no idea where the memory even came from, Sasuke blinked. That's one of the Sannins, he said. Tsunade turned her gaze towards the boy, given the fact that neither of them were wearing headband protectors. Orochimaru probably had taken it or something, because when they woke up, neither of them had one on. Tsunade narrowed her gaze. Who are these brats, she thought to herself. Ah, Tsunade. Naruto blinked, spinning around, as Jiraiya blinked in shock. What the hell? The both of them said. But guys, to be in subscribe right here. If you want to see this person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.